Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This week I thought let's talk a little bit about my favorite fast sketching tool, namely the pen. Not you, my friend. I'll talk about you maybe later. In this video I want to talk about my three approaches of drawing with a pen. And these three approaches are basically my evolutions from when I started out and where I am right now, I would say. And I imagine, like most of you, probably most of you, I started out with drawing only with pencil as well. As a kid in sketchbooks on pieces of paper that my mom liberated from work back in those days. It wasn't so easy to get paper, but yeah, let me not talk nonsense. So I started with pencil as always. And the main reason is pencil is cheap, and pencil also gives you this security, because you can take an eraser and you can fix your mistakes at any given point. And I have this thing, I love exploring. I know it's very good to imagine exactly what you want to draw and just go for that, but I was always like, put the pencil down, draw a couple of lines, and then from there you explore and you see what happens. So okay, so the first one is basically the pencil underlay drawing. I do a version of this these days as well, but instead of pencil, I draw with a very light opacity marker. But it's basically the same thing. The main positive thing is that you can explore and you can make as many mistakes as you want. So you have this security with it. Now, a little bit of the drawback when eventually you decide that you want to outline it, or, well, obviously you don't have to outline every pencil drawings, but if you decide that this was just an underlay and you're also working towards pen drawing or a fine liner drawing, at least in my case, I lose a lot of the dynamism that I have with the pencil, because it's the first line and it's the exploration. I really have these bold, nice strokes, and I lose a lot of that when I transition into the inking phase, where I try to nab some of these lines as precisely as possible. And I'm not saying this happens to everyone, and you can also train yourself to not do that. So whenever I put in a lot of energy and I pay extra attention, I can try and avoid this, but it is sort of also double work, which is another drawback of this thing that when I do this, is that you technically draw it twice. Once you draw it with a pencil and once you draw it with a pen. And you can also say, okay, well, don't put that much effort into one of these steps, and that can work, but then depending on what you go for, because if you want your drawing to have a lot of detail and be somewhat crisp, if you don't outline everything with the pencil in an underlay sketch, then you will miss details, and then you have to make details up with the pen as you go. And then if you wanted a clean drawing where you don't want messiness and sketchiness with the pen, that's going to be hard, or you will have to switch back and forth between pencil and pen. And it really depends on what you want to achieve with this technique. I still use it from time to time. There's nothing wrong with it. The only thing is you really have to keep in mind what you want to achieve with it and what you're going for. In the end, there is no bad approach. But as I said, this was as I started out in the beginning. And then slowly I started transitioning away from this, because I was cocky and I was growing up and I thought, hey, I can draw. I don't need all of this. I can just straight away draw everything that I want to draw. I don't need to have an underline drawing or underlay drawing or whatnot. And now I would like to call that the amateur Kim Jong-gi approach. If you don't know Kim Jong-gi, definitely look him up. He's an amazing artist. He drew so much in his life that he has just perfect understanding of perspective and just proportions and everything in general. It's ridiculous. Anyways, the main idea behind this is that I start drawing one element of the drawing that I want to draw, and then from there I just add everything. And I try to keep the proportion inside, so I know, okay, in this case, because I'm drawing a car, if the front of the car is this big, compared to that the window is this big, and then I just keep on moving and I just keep on drawing everything in. And as a younger kid I did this quite often. And I was even proud of myself when I didn't have to measure things, and I was just, hey, by eyesight I can do it. I even was once at an art course with a teacher, and they were explaining to the other kids that, oh yeah, Robert just understands it, but he shouldn't do it, but still. And here you can also see me on the drawing. The first mistake was the fender in the front. I missed off the angle a little bit, but the problem is, I mean, this is good if you want to exercise this, because in the end it really helps you if you understand proportion from the get-go and you don't have to have an underlay. But it is going to take a whole lot of exercising. And here you can see it as well. I just made that front tire humongous. I think I will point it out on the drawing as well as soon as I notice it. So yeah, exactly, there we go. The problem is, so this is really fun if you go into the detail, because basically you go detail by detail by detail, not like in the previous version where you had to do everything and then add the detail later on. Here you're just really having fun. So that's also why it's a little bit alluring, because you have this detail fun that we all go for from the start, from the get-go. So you just finish one detail, move to the other one and the other one and the other one. Problem is, it's really easy to lose sight of your proportions. So I can only recommend this if you already did a lot, or if you do it for learning purposes. If you just want to see how you do it, how at what level you're at, and then from there on, just remember your mistakes, maybe redraw it and remember, okay, where you messed it up, and do it again. So I would recommend it as a drawing tool, definitely not something that you do on a daily basis for your illustrations. And then finally we have what I'm doing currently, well, not what I'm doing, but the type of pen sketches that I'm doing currently, and that's the industrial designer sort of approach, where I don't really have an underlay sketch for it. I just start sketching away with the pen. And this is quite funny, because this was very difficult for me, especially giving up the security of the underlay pen sketch, or underlay pencil sketch, sorry. But now I'm at a point in my life where I actually enjoy this the most. Obviously, it is going to be super messy. I always say, or my excuse is that your eye will look for the correct line. So I always explore and I draw several lines. I rarely have just one straight line. I usually have 2 or 3 in one, and I let the viewer's eye choose which line they want to use. Obviously, I'm going to draw in harder the line that I want to be the main line, but I still let a lot of the work up to the beholder's eye, so they can in the end decide which line out of the humongous amount of lines that I use they want to choose. So drawbacks of this approach is the extreme sketchiness, which is personal taste, if you like it or not. I would like it to be less sketchy, so I am trying from time to time doing the Kim Jong-gi approach, just thinking and drawing and slowing down. It is also a good wake-up call for myself to make sure that I have a much clearer picture in my head, what I want. But the fun in drawing for me sometimes is really just this exploration, putting down the pen on the paper and just see where it takes me, where it all goes, and what I can find out. Another drawback will be here, obviously, the lack of control. I mean, yeah, you have control, but if you make mistakes, you'll just have to live with them, which is a very good learning experience, and that is also why they forced us to draw only with black pens when I was learning industrial design sketching. It really forces you to, 1, be able to live with your mistake, reuse it, make something else out of it, or 2, just try and avoid it. So either way, you learn a lot from drawing just with a black pen. For positives, yeah, it will make you feel more confident in your lines once you start using them. I'm actually at the point where I actually enjoy sketching with a pen much more than I enjoy sketching with a pencil, and I rarely use pencils. Like, I had so many pencils when I was growing up, 4 or 5 mechanical pencils and whole sets of just regular pencils, and I just don't use them because for me it's much more fulfilling to just do a quick pen sketch, and I just feel it's faster. I can't explain why, but it really just feels faster to sketch with a pen. But the end outcome will really depend on you, how professional you want to have it, or if your client or whoever you're drawing for likes this type or this style of sketching. I also try out a new thing. I have this really cool set of colored fine liners pens from Arteza, and I've been exploring a little bit with like lines and points, how you can use fine liners to color something. And I just went to town with it and explored a little bit, and yeah, I must say it's quite a bit of a different experience drawing with colored pens, especially because you can't cover the whole big surface that I usually cover with markers. So it makes you think a little bit differently what sort of shapes will work. Well, not shapes, but line strokes, because you can point, you can do lines, but you can't just really fill one. You just don't want to use a crazy crosshatch here and there. So I really try to see which will work better for me, because at one point you need to give that curvature to the shape, so you need to draw a curved line. At other points you need to crosshatch a little bit to give a stronger and more saturated color, and not just stick with the same color, but also switch up the colors to have a little bit of depth in your color. Anyways, I quite enjoy these Arteza fine liners, and I would have never tried them unless they were so kind and approached me to send these to me so I can try them out. If you want to help your boy out, I have also posted 2 affiliate links to the UK and to the US site. If you're interested in these markers, check them out, and if you go through these links, you will also support these videos. It's not that you're supporting these videos, but hey, you're supporting me, and that's mighty nice of you. So please, if you want to check these out, click those links and buy something if you want to draw with these things. Other than that, that was all I had to show and talk about in this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something from it. Please feel free to leave me a comment, leave questions or remarks. I always like to read them, and I always like to interact with you guys. But yeah, also click that like button and subscribe if you like to see more content like this. You can also subscribe on or follow me on Instagram, because I post quite regularly drawing related stuff there as well. And that's it. So wish you a great week, and see you folks next time. Bye bye.